Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so I'm making this speech to the world beyond the shores of Africa. If the youth, like I said yesterday, is a formative volatile population, then it means that they are highly impressionable. Impressionable to the point where they begin to believe negativities because they've been made to believe meaningless, unrealistic rhetoric that capital begets peace. By capital, what do I mean? Money. You see capital masking itself in things like ethnicity, in things like religious divides, in things like stereotypes, where people believe that when they pursue ethnicity, that they ultimately beget money. That's the reason why we have secessionary movements in some part of Nigeria. That's not the basis of my speech. But considerably, what I'm talking about is that youths in the world have believed that when they pursue things like ethnicity, that they ultimately beget capital, and that is ultimately wrong. Three things I believe that the youth should do, and when they do, they become more formidable and they become more strong. Firstly, we need to culture a new priority. Priorities that are premised not on capital, but priorities that are premised on conflict resolution. Priorities that are premised on values of peace, inclusion, diversity, and appeal. I one day gravitated toward the books from iconic black figures like Thomas Sankara and Frantz Fanon of Ghana. And I realized something, that even when these men were pressured to follow systems of capital or community, they stood by principles of value, peace, inclusivity. And that was why they were able to carry out nationalist revolution. And if that is anyway what we need in Nigeria, that is what we are supposed to pursue. Second thing I think that we need to do is to maximize hegemonic media. Hegemonic media that exists as spaces that we should utilize. Come on, take for instance, if everyone here goes on Facebook or goes on WhatsApp or goes on Twitter, what we end up doing at the end of the day is pursuing capital. Like if you look at Wizkid on Instagram, all young guys want to do is they want to get more money to be like him. They fail to ultimately follow the value. What they follow is capital. And what happens at the end of the day when we do that is that we begin to pursue systems that have put us in the same problem that we are today. It's irregrettably that at some point we can diverge from what is the core of society. So if we maximize these spaces, then ultimately we can change Nigeria. I remember in 2014 where LGBTQs in the United States of America, Arizona precisely, used the social media to create a political voice for themselves. While I do not want to talk about the ethical dimensions of LGBTs, that's not what my speech is about, but I just want you to understand the potency of the media and how we can create a revolution within a state like the United States. Thirdly and lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about the participation in parliamentary sittings. At some point in my life, I participated in the Independent Pan-African Youth Parliament. And I realized that I was so close to creating policies that affected the youths in my community. That is how close we are in creating change. If we can engage in meaningful communities that can change us, that is the best way we can create the kinds of change that we need. Ladies and gentlemen, see, if we go alone, we go fast. That is the rhetoric for individualism, capitalism, and every single structure that has created the bane that Nigeria faces today. But if we go together, each and every single person, creating a culture that prioritizes inclusivity and peace, maximizing the media spaces, and engaging in political engagements that could create revolutions for the youth, we would go far. Now that is the language of true nationalism. That is the language of national identities. That is the language that has created revolutions in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, if we have and we believe in change, we should support anything that gives us a collective voice and that supports the sameness of our commonality. I'm Valentine Ifeanyi. I've never ever been so proud to speak.